Well, hello there. If you've stumbled upon this video or it caught your eye and you still haven't subscribed to my channel, what are you waiting for? My channel has the best shit on YouTube, particularly as it pertains to the NFL and the NBA. Without further ado, let's begin. San Francisco versus LA. Mac Jones said before the game he saw a dead body floating in the ocean from his hotel room. He neglected to mention that dead body, his name is Brock Purdy. John Stafford was just joshing around early on before he finally started to get serious in the final 5 minutes, throwing some lasers before throwing a touchdown to make it 14-7. The score went to 17-7 early in the third when the Rams missed a field goal because their kicker is a poopy head, but the 49ers could not take advantage, making it a 13-point game instead. And then Stafford got back to throwing dimes, including an amazing deep ball to Puka Nacua for a touchdown to make it a 6-point game. The 49ers failed on 3rd and 1, should have done a tush push, while Stafford went back to firing lasers to Hall of Famer Davante Adams before finding Kyren Williams once again to take a 21-20. Oh, no, the kicker missed the extra point. Way to go, asshole. I hope you feel great about yourself. The teams exchanged punts before the 49ers connected on a clutch 59-yard field goal to go up 3, but Stafford led the Rams on a game-winning touchdown. Oh, no, he didn't, because Kyren Williams fumbled the ball on the goal line. This is like the running back version of Super Bowl 49. Still, though, the Rams would get another chance, even though Williams essentially fumbled the game away. They kicked a field goal to go into overtime, tied at 23. Then in overtime, their kicker went all John Casey to give the 49ers the ball at the 40, which unsurprisingly led to a field goal for them to go up by 3. And then in overtime, Stafford launched a super moon ball to Tutu Atwell to get them in great range to potentially win the game. But on 4th and 1, and again, you already know what I'm going to say, no tush push, they got stuffed, and the 49ers ended up winning the game. The hero of the game has to be Michael McCorkle Jones, once again overcoming the horror he saw from his hotel room with the dead body before the game, throwing for over 300 yards. There really shouldn't be a quarterback controversy in San Francisco, but we all know Kyle Shanahan doesn't really give a fuck about quarterbacks. The video continues right after this. Before I begin, I want to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, DraftKings Sportsbook. That's right, folks. That feeling you have, that's the excitement in the air that the NFL season is back and in full swing. I know that 6-month off season was absolutely brutal, but we made it. So give yourself a pat on the back. It's gonna be a great season. And DraftKings Sportsbook is here to make your season even better. New customers who bet $5 will get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. And you know I got your back. You can sign up using my promo code BARRY to have an even better time. You can stay in on the action and use your bonus bets on DraftKings same-game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. Love the thrill of live betting? DraftKings has got you covered there too. You can bet live on in-progress games right as they're happening. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports and have the shot to win cash prizes. So what are you waiting for? New customers who bet $5 will get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Just sign up using my promo code BARRY, and remember, DraftKings, the crown is yours. The dumbass of the game, no surprise here, goes to Kyren Williams for fumbling the ball away on the 1-yard line. Very Ernest Biner-like. That's a throwback reference for those who are uncultured. Minnesota versus Cleveland. In a game that was played in London, this game began with Jordan Mason fumbling the ball. You're not supposed to do that. Enough with the British accent. This was Dylan Gabriel's first NFL start, and it started pretty well, throwing a touchdown to give the Browns a 7-0 lead. Then Cam Akers showed how versatile he is by throwing a 32-yard touchdown pass to tie the game up at 7. Is Carson Wentz a system quarterback? The Browns would then take a 10-7 lead at halftime off of a field goal. Say what you want about walk it to him Wentz, but at least he knows that Justin Jefferson is on his team and throwing to him is a good idea. And the Vikings eventually took the lead 14-10 before the Browns took the lead right back after some tough running. They didn't show the touchdown for some reason, the NFL channel, so we have to go to the Vikings' next possession where they once again fumbled the ball away. Xavier Scott, what the hell are you doing, man? You're going to be left in the United Kingdom. But don't fear, the Browns offense did nothing. Wentz found Jefferson, which got the ball in field goal range, and the kicker missed it. Jesus Christ, you pay these guys millions to make these field goals, and they can't even do that. Thanks a lot, Obama. Because the Browns are terrible, the Vikings were still down just 3 with under a minute and a half left, and then Carson Wentz, the key play of the game, was the game-winning touchdown pass that he threw to Jordan Addison to give the Vikings Vikings a 21-17 win that they should have won because the Browns are terrible, but I digress. Hero of the game goes to Cam Akers for his beautiful 32-yard touchdown pass. This is actually a longer pass in the air than any pass Tom Brady completed in his Super Bowl win with the Buccaneers. I'm kind of joking. I'm not even sure if I am joking. Am I? The dumbass of the game goes to England. You motherfuckers lost the Revolutionary War in 1776, so now we're trolling you all by sending Carson Wentz and Dylan Gabriel overseas for you to watch play. Go enjoy your beans and whatever else other shit you guys eat. You guys suck. America's number one. Texans versus Ravens. The nightmare season for Baltimore continues, and this is what they deserve. This is what they deserve for putting a statue of a alleged murder out in front of their stadium. And they're also named after a character written by Edgar Allan Poe who married his underage cousin back in the day. So really, this is just karma. It's about time they had a shitty defense after seemingly having 2.5 decades worth of elite defenses all the time. Anyway, back to the game. The best quarterback of all time is whoever is facing the 2025 Ravens defense. But just for shits and giggles, even their field goal kicker, oh, and by the way, that's another guy, Justin Tucker, ended up being a fucking sex pest, and he's like the best kicker in franchise history and a franchise legend. Then you got Ray Rice. We all know that story. And then you got Terrell Suggs, too, who has some off-field issues. Nobody even cares. I mean, Cooper Rush, seriously? No, who the fuck cares about Cooper Rush? He threw 3 interceptions. Nobody's surprised. At least Derrick Henry said, I'm leaving here with something. I'm getting another touchdown to my career total for my Hall of Fame case. This was a great game for CJ Stroud to puff up his stats, much like Mahomes did last week. And shout out to Mark Andrews for this hilarious NFL Follies worthy interception. That's just how it goes. Cooper Rush even decided to throw a long arm punt down 34, and that's really it. And for the hero of the game, I said Mark Andrews for giving us this hilarious play where I can just hear the Looney Tunes music playing, like the Flintstones music playing, you know, things like that. So that's great. And the dumbass of the game, I could put the whole Ravens, but I just went with Cooper Rush. And I feel bad for him because Lamar is probably quitting on the team again. But, you know, you throw 3 interceptions and you don't add anything and you stink, then yes, you're the dumbass of the game. Indianapolis versus Vegas. Pretty nondescript start to the game. Geno threw a nice touch pass to Ashton Genty, and the Raiders got a field goal, and they were actually winning after the end of the first quarter. But Raiders fans, you might want to click out of this video now because the rest of this game was very, very stinky for you. The Colts went up 7-3, and then the Colts blocked a punt, which then led to yet another touchdown, which led to a 14-3 lead. And then in the red zone, Geno Smith, who is on a mission this year to remind everybody that he was drafted by the Jets, threw a tipped interception, which of course, you guessed it, the Colts turned into another touchdown to go up 20-3. And then the Raiders, just before halftime, decided to miss a field goal, which would have made it 20-6. And then, oh God, how did you know what I was going to say next? The Colts then scored another touchdown to make it 26-3. They went for 2-point conversions and didn't make a lot of them. In the end, it really didn't matter because Geno Smith was making throws like this that were returned inside the 2-yard line. And gosh darn it, you're absolutely right. They once again turned it into a touchdown to go up 32-3. The Raiders on 4th and 1, though, they couldn't be bothered to do a tush push and they turned the ball over. And then Danny Dimes, I guess Daniel Jones is just a Hall of Fame quarterback now. That's right. And they once again capitalized to make it a 40-3 game before the 4th quarter even started. Just absolutely one of the saddest possible field goals, maybe the saddest field goal in NFL history. Kicking a field goal down 37 with 12 minutes left. That's great. The hero of the game goes to Pete Carroll, who has dementia and doesn't know where he is. But the reason he gets this is because he had the balls to call for a field goal down 37 in the 4th quarter. That just shows you that he doesn't give a shit anymore. And why not? He's like almost 80 years old. He deserves the retirement. The dumbass of the game goes to Mark Sanchez, the beloved butt fumble extraordinaire. Everybody goes to vouch for him, says he's a great guy. Well, guess what? He got stabbed and arrested at the same time. Talk about a tough scene. He was supposed to be the announcer for this game for Fox, and they had to replace him with Brady Quinn. So yeah, Sanchez is probably going to be out of a job now, and his legacy off the field is almost as bad as it is on the field now. Dallas versus the Jets. Here's the Jets kicking the field goal to win the game. I'm just kidding. No. Dak Prescott, this is the games he lives for. Low leverage early season games versus shitty teams. You already knew he's going to put up a bunch of numbers. He threw a nice touchdown to Jake Ferguson, scoring his first touchdown in over 2 years. And then Breece Hall decided to fumble inside the red zone because Jets. Then Prescott threw the ball downfield, which set up another touchdown run to put the Cowboys up 17-3. But the real kicker and the key play of the game was Javonte Williams breaking off a 66-yard run on essentially a give-up play just before halftime, which, you guessed it, set up a touchdown pass to Jake Ferguson again, his second of the day, after he had 0 all last season. This is what the Jets do. The Jets, they take hope all away. They take all the hope away from their fans, and they give hope to all of their opponents. Sauce Gardner, remember him? He's supposed to be the next Champ Bailey, Deion Sanders lockdown corner. Yeah, here he is getting owned by George Pickens to put the Cowboys up by 27. The one thing Justin Fields is good at is putting up the most inconsequential stats in garbage time. He excels at that, throwing a touchdown to make it 30-14, but then Dak Prescott excels at the same thing, padding his numbers. He threw 4 touchdowns in this game. Justin Fields, though, threw another touchdown to Garrett Wilson, who is the Kobe Bryant of Terry McLaurin's, and the Cowboys ended up winning a game they should have won 37-22. Hero of the game is nobody. Nobody benefits from this game. The Jets obviously don't benefit from it by losing, and nobody benefits from the Cowboys winning because they're pieces of shit. The dumbass of the game goes to Aaron Glenn. They're 0-5 and they haven't forced any takeaways. I mean, just look at this. This graphic sums it all up, okay? Aaron Glenn was hired because he's supposed to be good at defense. Here's the problem, though, is that even when he was in Detroit, his defenses weren't good. So leave it up to the Jets to hire a defensive coordinator who sucked to be their head coach. Detroit versus Skyline Chili sucks. Jared Goff began the festivities by check downing a lot to Sam Laporta for a touchdown to go up 7-0, but Trey Hendrickson said, "This season might be lost, but I'm still getting my stats, goddammit," with a strip sack. Unfortunately, Jake Browning had more very, very bad interceptions, including ones on short fields that set up plays like David Montgomery's short touchdown pass to put the Lions up 14-0. Browning's second interception came on an arm punt, which ended up not hurting the Bengals because they didn't give up any points, and the Bengals actually got it to 14-3 at halftime and had the ball to begin the second half. So this game was not over until Browning threw his third terrible interception, this one to a white guy, so that makes it even worse. And the Lions, unsurprisingly, capitalized on that with an amazing touchdown pass by Jared Goff to go up 21-3, and then that quickly became 28-3. And oh, guess what? Here's a 28-3 joke. Suddenly, Jake Browning, the beginning of the fourth quarter, started making some throws, throwing touchdowns, 2 of them to Jamar Chase, 28-17. But unfortunately for Jake, he needs to realize that only certain quarterbacks are allowed to make 21-3 comebacks with their defense pitching shutouts, and that didn't happen. Even though he padded his stats heroically, throwing 3 touchdowns in essentially garbage time before taking a safety to officially end the game. This is how I look at 3 in the morning when I go to the refrigerator to snack on something that I shouldn't. Hero of the game? I don't fucking know. David Montgomery, I guess, because of his cool little Tim Tebow-esque jump touchdown pass. Let's give it to that. Dumbass of the game, Jake Browning. Everybody loves the backup quarterback until the backup quarterback has to play. And simply put, Browning's 3 interceptions, all of which came on the Bengals side of the field, helped make the Lions' day a hell of a lot easier. Saints versus the Giants. How do you know the Saints are bad? Well, they had Jackson Sharp looking good early on, as he was throwing touchdowns and scrambling to give the Giants a 14-3 lead. But then in the blink of an eye, the Saints kicked a field goal to make it 14-6, and then Spencer Rattler unleashed an 87-yard touchdown pass to Rashid Shaheed to make it 14-13. But again, these are the Saints we're talking about, so they still did have to miss a field goal before halftime that would have given them a lead. But again, we're also talking about the Giants, who had a fumble, which the Saints scooped up, and then guess what? They're so generous, they allowed the Saints to kick and make up for the missed field goal, so the Saints somehow had a lead at halftime. Then Jackson Fart he got the ball stripped by Manti Te'o's girlfriend. It's a fumble. Cam Jordan fell on it, right? And the Saints expanded that lead to 5. And the key play of the game is pretty obvious. Cam Scatterbo got a little bit too amped up listening to too much Limp Bizkit before the game. Chocolate starfish! And he fumbled it, and it was returned basically 86 yards for a score early in the fourth to give the Saints a 12-point lead. And if you were expecting Jackson Dartley to come back, well, you're wrong, because he threw a couple interceptions because he sucks, right? The second one, though, I honestly can't blame on him. His receiver stopped his route. I didn't know A.J. Brown was on the Giants. Anyway, and then the final play of the game, Dart was just throwing incompletions. The hero of the game, unsurprisingly, Spencer Rattler. He finally gets off the schneid and gets his first career win as an NFL starting quarterback. He now is just 4 wins shy of passing NFL legend Ryan Leaf on the all-time list. The dumbass of the game has to go to Cam Scatterbo. You know, his fumble really essentially eventually that was a 14-point swing. And who knows, the Giants being the Giants, they still probably would have found a way to lose anyway, even if they had scored on that drive. But his fumble just made it a lot more definitive, and for that, I thank him mightily, making this tough week just a little bit more bearable. Washington versus the Chargers. Here's Justin Herbert showing off what shouldn't be sneaky athleticism if you paid attention to his combine profile, to set up a touchdown pass to hard worker Ladd McConkey to go up 7-0, and then the Chargers even went up 10-0 early on, and they had the ball early in the second, and that's when things started going bad. Quentin Johnston, the new age Ted Ginn Jr., fumbled the ball, and Jaden Daniels, who is now ungrounded by his mom, led a touchdown drive, capped off by Bill scoring the touchdown to make it 10-7. This is the key play of the game. Washington punts the ball away, and Ladd McConkey returns it Julian Edelman style for a touchdown to seemingly give the Chargers a 10-point lead, but nope, guess what? Got roughing the punter penalty. It's coming back, doesn't count. So what happens instead? Daniels throws a 50-yard bomb, looks a lot like Jalen Hurts, to set up a game-tying field goal. So that's literally a 10-point swing, and it was tied at halftime. And then Bill again scored a touchdown to go up 17-10. It got expanded to 20-10, and then Herbert threw this pass off of his receiver's face. It was thrown a little bit too fast, for my opinion, in such close quarters, but still, you got to catch that. The game wasn't over yet, though, because the Chargers defense forced a fumble, but then Herbert, in all of his 6'6", 230-pound rocket arm wisdom, threw a tipped interception in the end zone. It's not his fault, okay? There was a slight breeze, and his offensive linemen were very bad, and yeah, like, it's not his fault at all. And if you criticize him at all, you're just being a hater. And that really ended up being the last charge that the Chargers, no pun intended, would make, as on 4th and 7, Washington just decided to troll, throwing a touchdown to fat-ass Deebo Samuel to make it 27-10. The hero of the game is Dan Quinn's man boobs. Look at those beauties just bounce up and down in slow motion. My goodness, I'm gonna need a timeout here. The dumbass of the game, I was going to put Justin Herbert because he is a career nearly 500 quarterback who has nonstop excuses made for him, but I decided to be nice and say Marlo Wax, who made the team as an undrafted free agent. Well, guess what, pal? You're not going to last for very long when you keep making stupid plays like this that lose your team the game. The Gay Kitties versus the Gay Sharks. Miami struck first with a field goal set up by a Darren Waller catch. Then Bryce Young was doing Bryce Young things, literally getting bitched and losing the ball, which set up a touchdown pass from Tua to Devon Achane to put the Dolphins up 10-0. Then Bryce Young said, "I'm a big boy, look at this throw," and he overthrew his receiver to Minka Fitzpatrick, a Dolphin Steeler turned Dolphin again, and then Tua found Darren Waller for a touchdown. Darren Waller, he only plays football when he needs money. Down 17-0, Bryce Young finally started to make some plays, and Xavier Legette, the good old boy from the South, who has the obvious accent and has done jack shit after being selected in the first round, makes a great touchdown catch, and the Dolphins, being the Dolphins, even allowed the Panthers to make it a 7-point game off a field goal going into halftime. Spoiler alert, Rico Dowdle was the hero of this game for the Panthers. He ran for over 200 yards, and he set up a bunch of great possessions in the second half, made Bryce Young's life a hell of a lot easier, while the Dolphins' offense went stagnant. The Panthers took a 20-17 lead, and then Tua finally got going with a touchdown pass to Jalen Waddle. Tua might have lost, but his stats were amazing, and that's what matters most. Bryce Young, they needed him to step up in the fourth quarter, and he did. The key play of the game for me was this really, really great fourth down pitch and catch in the last 3.5 minutes, which set up the eventual game-winning touchdown pass. Tua had a chance to respond, and it went about as well as you would think, and then Bryce Young sealed the game with a penalty, which is kind of gay, but whatever. Speaking of gay, I'm gay for Dave Canales. Look at how handsome this guy is. My goodness. Like I said, hero of the game, Rico Dowdle, ran for over 200 yards, maybe in the process saving Bryce Young's career. The dumbass of the game goes to Mike McDaniel, just because he's a lame duck head coach. But to be honest with you, at this point, he might actually be the luckiest man on the planet, because he's going to be fired from the Dolphins, which really is a relief and a mercy. And he's going to be hired to be an offensive coordinator somewhere 2 seconds after he becomes available. I wouldn't mind having him in Philadelphia over Kevin Patullo, for what it's worth. Tennessee versus Arizona. This game really went from 0 to 100 100 super fast towards the end, but I'll get to that later. Good for Marvin Harrison Jr., which led to an early touchdown drive for the Cardinals. The Cardinals started off hot, as you might imagine, going up 14-3 at one point, while Cam Ward and the Titans offense continued to look like the worst team in the league, and the Cardinals took advantage of that to go up 21-3 early in the second quarter. And although the Titans would add another field goal to make it 21-6, that's basically where it stayed. This is one of the funniest plays I've ever seen. Dude, it hits Kyler Murray in the fucking helmet. Oh my god. And he acts like he got shot. Jesus Christ. That was funny. But you know what's even funnier is this running back, Amari DeMercado. Once again, unfortunately, he was infected with a disease that seems to be spreading all across the NFL, which is having dumbass players losing control and dropping the ball before they cross the goal line. And we saw that here. So instead of Arizona going up 28-6 and putting the game out of reach early in the fourth, the Titans actually came to life, and Cam Ward threw some absolute seeds in the fourth quarter, finally showing some consistency that made him the first overall pick. The Titans scored a touchdown to make it 21-12, and of course, in typical Titans fashion, they missed the extra point. Some of you are probably wondering why the end zone touchback turnover wasn't the key play of the game. Well, it's because of this play, which was an interception, and then the guy who intercepted it fumbled, and then a guy from the same team as the guy who intercepted it kicked the ball multiple times into the end zone, which somehow landed on top of a Titans player in the end zone, which resulted in a touchdown somehow, which made it a 2-point game. You literally could not draw this play up and practice this better if you tried. The flukiest of fluke plays. And then Tennessee got the ball back down 2, and Cam Ward ripped another dime downfield to set up the game-winning field goal to give the Titans a fluky and miraculous 22-21 win. The first win of Cam Ward's career, and he gets the Hero of the Game award, although he basically did throw a game-ending interception, but his clutchness willed the other team to fumble the ball into the end zone for a touchdown. That's what greatness is all about, folks. Dumbass of the game goes to Amari DeMercado, as you might have guessed. Anytime, I mean, literally, this would have won the game. The Cardinals win the game if he doesn't just celebrate and showboat. Tampa Bay versus Seattle. This, unironically, might have been the best game of the year thus far. Both quarterbacks were playing out of their minds, making insane throws all game long, although it did start a little bit slow with a couple field goals and some missed field goals and some turnovers early on, but this shit picked up quickly towards the end of the second quarter. The Bucs scored on a run to make it 13-0, and then Sam Darnold remembered that he was a top draft pick for a reason, throwing a dime with under 10 seconds left to make it 13-7 going into halftime. But Mono Man was just getting started as he threw another deep pass, somehow was completed, and the drive ended with a touchdown run to go up 14-13. And then Baker Mayfield said, you know what, fuck you, I was the first overall pick for a reason too. And he threw one of the most beautiful passes I've ever seen to Emeka Egbuka to take a lead and a 2-point conversion as well. That was a pure Marino type throw right there. But Sam Darnold said, you know what, bitch, my grandpa's name was Dick Hammer. I don't have to take anything from you. And he launched another deep bomb to Jackson Smith and Jigba. Got to be careful saying his last name, especially if you're white. And then on 3rd and goal, Darnold threw a touchdown to tie it at 21. And then Baker came right back and was throwing seeds himself. And then later in the third, on 3rd and 13, he just decided, I'm going to just throw this shit up like a man. And it came down and it was caught. The third quarter was pure ecstasy for quarterback lovers like me who love real quarterback play and not all that check down bullshit that Tom Brady authored. Anyway, so the Bucs took a 7-point lead going into the fourth, and then Darnold eventually tied the game up with another touchdown pass with 10 minutes left. Darnold had there were so many great plays in this game. Darnold had an amazing escape on 4th and 2 for another touchdown pass to take a 7-point lead. But again, Baker Mayfield was not fazed. He found a couple receivers on some nice throws, and then his touchdown pass to Sterling Shepard was unbelievable in the end zone, contested between a couple guys to tie the game at 35. But then the key play of the game, this was exactly like Tony Romo in the 2013 Broncos-Cowboys game where both quarterbacks were playing out of their mind, and then one of them made a bad throw that was picked off deep in their territory at the end of the game, which set up the other team with the game-winning field goal. Honestly, if not for that somewhat anticlimactic ending with Darnold throwing the interception, this might have been a perfect 10 out of 10 game, but instead it's going to have to settle for being, I would say, like a 9.5, which is still excellent. The hero of the game, of course, is Baker Mayfield, who continues to resurrect his career and also make Tom Brady look like a a system quarterback, so props for him. The dumbass of the game goes to Jalen Milroe. I don't know why he's even in the NFL. The Patriots versus the Buffalo O.J. Simpsons. Here's MVP Josh Allen with an MVP caliber fumble, but that's okay because he's 6'5" and he has a rocket arm, okay? But then Allen willed Ramondre Stevenson to fumble the ball right back. So no harm, no foul. And then guess what? The Bills fumbled again deep in their own territory, which set up a Patriots field goal. Allen then finally started to look like Josh Allen, MVP, which set up another field goal late in the first half. It was 3-3, and Drake May, if Drake May goes on to become a great player, a Hall of Fame caliber player, this is the game that people will remember. He was amazing, although he didn't throw any touchdowns, and the Patriots had just a 6-3 lead at halftime. But the second half picked up. Allen threw a touchdown to give the Bills a 4-point lead, and then Drake May responded with some lasers, including a great Aaron Rodgers caliber throw to Stephon Diggs, who is a certified freak. That ended with Ramondre Stevenson running for a touchdown and taking the lead. And then Josh Allen threw a terrible interception, but again, that's okay. He's 6'6" with a bazooka arm. All right, so people get off his back. It's not his fault. Drake May then just calmly threw some seeds downfield and threw another pitch to Ramondre Stevenson to give the Patriots a 10-point lead with 10 minutes left. But Josh Allen said, you know what? I have more time to stat pad. And that's what he did, throwing a touchdown to make it 20-17. He got the ball back and then led the Bills into field goal range, where Matt Prater tied the game at 20 with just over 2 minutes left. And then Drake May had the key play of the game, very similar to Josh Allen, if I may dare say so myself, when he was literally stiff-arming the defender off of him and was completed to Freaky Diggs for a first down. And then May threw another seed for a first down, and that set up a super clutch, game-winning 52-yard field goal, which nowadays is really more like 32 yards, and it split the uprights to give the Patriots a 23-20 win over the hated rival Buffalo Bills. The hero of the game, this is Drake May, his coming out party. He already has had several big games this year, but they kind of went under the radar because the Patriots aren't really on national TV as much anymore. But Drake May, he looks like he might be the real deal. Anyway, the dumbass of the game goes to Josh Allen. 2 turnovers and a 3-point home loss to a divisional rival. This was really the first actual NFL team they played this year, and they lost. Finally, the game that I know all of you have been waiting for, Denver versus Philadelphia. And you're probably expecting me to blame the refs and not give the Eagles any criticism. And you're somewhat right. I will blame the refs when it is warranted, like on this stupid bullshit incomplete pass that was obviously a strip sack. The arm was going forward, except he lost control of the ball when it was behind his fucking head. And that cost the Eagles 3 points. You think those 3 points would come in handy later? I think they would. Anyway, Jalen Hurts once again showing that he can't throw deep by finding Devonta Smith and then throwing a touchdown pass to go up 10-3. Hurts had great stats, and they should have been even better. This was a questionable non-catch. He got his first foot down with 2 hands on the ball and then got a second foot down. This is no different than the Corey Clement catch in Super Bowl 52 that they said was a catch. Fast forward to the third quarter. Hurts throws another pass to Saquon to go up 17-3. Now, this is the part of the game where I blame the Eagles. Instead of running the ball and milking some clock, they started to force feed A.J. Brown because A.J. Brown's been bitching and moaning publicly. And also, on this play, he gave up on his route. If you're going to publicly bitch and moan about not getting the ball, you better run every fucking route 100%, because if he had on this play, this is a house call. And the Eagles go up by 21 and they win the game. Fast forward to the fourth quarter, and the Broncos made a little bit of a rally. The Eagles offense stagnated again. Knicks converted a 3rd and 15. Nothing here that I really have a problem with. This is just the Broncos making plays, including the 2-point attempt to go up 18-17. My problem is later in the game. Here is Jalen Hurts. People say Jalen Hurts didn't come through in the clutch in this game. Well, this is him throwing a beautiful 30-yard pass to Devonta Smith on 4th and 4 that got negated by a penalty. The key play of the game. Now, this is where my beef with the refs really goes in the hyperdrive. Bo Nix fucking spins around and just gets rid of the ball. He has no idea who the fuck he's throwing to. It's nowhere near his receiver, and they didn't call this intentional grounding, which set up a manageable 3rd and 6 instead of what should have been like a 3rd and 30. And then eventually the Broncos had 3rd and 2 again. And while the receiver is actively lunging forward, trying to get the first down, Zach Bond hits him, and they give them the fucking flag. This is pathetic, which extends the Broncos drive for another minute and forces the Eagles to burn another timeout, and the Broncos kick a field goal to go up 4. And then we have this beautiful play at the very end of the game where it was obvious defensive pass interference on Dallas Goedert. there that would have set up the Eagles at the 3-yard line for a final play, and then the Hail Mary fell incomplete, and just beautiful defense by A.J. Brown. He's really done a number on the Eagles. This is just funny. I don't know. They're both laying on the ground after they lost a super winnable game. So the hero of the game, if you're a Broncos fan that is A.J. Brown, bitching and moaning, constantly complaining, putting targets and his individual stats over the team winning, which, by the way, for the record, he's been an all-pro each of the last 3 years, so it's not like he hasn't gotten the ball. But either way, he gets the hero of the game for being such a class act. And the dumbasses of the game are the referees. The referees, again, they weren't the only reason the Eagles lost. I'm not going to say that, okay? But they literally had about 5 or 6 plays and calls that were huge momentum swings that really bent the game in the Broncos' favor. Jacksonville versus Kansas City. The game started with Patrick Mahomes looking as good as he has in a long time, finding Taylor Swift's future husband for a touchdown to go up 7-0. Trevor Lawrence looked like Trevor Lawrence, which isn't a good thing, as he fumbled the ball on the 1-yard line early on, and the Chiefs promptly went about 97 yards, ending with a Mahomes touchdown run. Patrick, you're supposed to throw touchdowns, not run for them. You gotta pad those passing stats, young man. But either way, the Chiefs went up 14-0, and this game seemed like it was going to be a blowout, especially when Lawrence threw this terrible pass that was potentially the easiest interception in history, and it got dropped. Lawrence ended up throwing a touchdown to make it 14-7, and then in the second half, Lawrence said, fuck it, Travis is down there somewhere, and completed a 44-yard dime, and then a couple plays later, ran in a touchdown to make it 14-14. The Chiefs once again marched the ball down the field easily, and then by far the biggest play of the game was when Mahomes got fooled and threw a terrible interception to Devin Lloyd, who returned it 99 yards, a complete 14-point swing to give the Jaguars a 21-14 lead entering the fourth quarter. But the game was not over yet. As long as Trevor Lawrence is in the game, neither team is out of it, as he threw a pick deep in Jaguars territory, which resulted in a Chiefs touchdown run to make it 21-21. Cam Little made a clutch 52-yard field goal to make it 24-21, and then Mahomes started to do his magic, making some plays, getting first downs through the air and on the ground, and it ended with a touchdown run by women respecter Kareem Hunt, his second of the quarter, to give the Chiefs a 4-point lead with a minute 45 left. So it looked like the Chiefs throughout everything would escape, and then Lawrence threw a dime to Brian Thomas Jr., and then another dime on back-to-back plays to set up the Jaguars, until he then threw a underthrown defensive pass interference in the end zone, which set him up at the 1-yard line. And if that wasn't enough, Lawrence then tripped, fell over, had enough time to read a book, got back up, and then ran into the end zone for the touchdown, while Chris Jones just stood there doing nothing. Great effort by Chris Jones. I mean, wow. Anyways, so the Jaguars took a 3-point lead with 23 seconds left. The Chiefs might have had something on this play if Hollywood Brown was smart enough to turn his head around, but that wasn't it, and the Chiefs ended up losing to fall to 2-3, while the Jaguars improved to 4-1 somehow. Hero of the game, Devin Lloyd. Not a big surprise here. When you make a game-changing interception and return it 99 yards for a touchdown for a 14-point swing in a game that ended being just 3 points differential, you're the easy hero. The dumbass of the game, unfortunately, I have to go with Patrick Mahomes. For the most part, Mahomes played a very, very good game, but I can't overlook his terrible interception. It's similar to asking Abraham Lincoln's wife, besides the obvious, Miss Lincoln, how was the play?